Well, hey there, guys. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. So, can we just name the Eastern Conference the Florida Conference? Because this is the sixth consecutive year that a team from the state of Florida is representing the Eastern Conference in the Stanley Cup Final. It's been a long time since we have seen something like this. And especially to see, this used to be a thing back a number of years ago where, back during the dynasty eras, when you would see a team go, back to back to back and all that, go to, three straight finals. But it hasn't happened in a long, long time. And to see the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2020, 2021, and 2022 go to three straight finals and win two of them. Now the Florida Panthers, they're in their third straight Stanley Cup Final. It's crazy. So what I did was I decided to take a look back here. Now, of course, we still have this one series down here, still needs to be decided. I think most people are anticipating the rematch, which I'm selfishly wanting to see. I want to see Edmonton and Florida go at it again. I do. I selfishly do, because that series, the first part of that series was looking like an absolute bloodbath, and by the end of that series, it was one of the most phenomenal series I had seen in a long time. So I'm selfishly wanting to see the Oilers go head to head with the Panthers again. But I wanted to look back here at some of these. And this is dating back to before I was born. We're dating back to 1976 here, where the Panthers, since 1976, the Panthers have only become the fifth team ever, or the fifth team since 76, to go to at least three straight finals. Now, we have Montreal here. They went to four straight Stanley Cup Finals in 1975-76, 76-77, 77-78, 78-79. They won all four times. They beat the Philadelphia Flyers in 76. They beat the Bruins in 77 and 78. And then they beat the New York Rangers in 79. So we go from that dynasty right in to another dynasty. Because then you had the New York Islanders take over. They went to the Stanley Cup Final 5 years in a row. 1979-80, 80-81, 81-82, 82-83, and then 83-84. They won in 79 and 80 over the Philadelphia Flyers. They beat the Minnesota North Stars in 80-81. They beat the Vancouver Canucks in 81-82. Then they beat the Oilers in 82-83, the young upstart Oilers who needed to basically have that beatdown happen. Then they come back the very next year, and the Oilers knock them off, and the Oilers end up winning in 83-84. The Islanders, that was the end of their dynasty. So, the Islanders won four in a row. They lost that fifth one. Then we go from there right into basically going from one dynasty, partway through one dynasty into another. Because then we get the Oilers. They make the final in 82-83. They go back to the final in 83-84. And then back to the final again in 84-85. So that's three in a row. They lost the final to the Islanders in 82-83. They come back, they win the cup in 83-84, and they win the cup again in 84-85. So this is the start of their dynasty. So this is basically, you have three teams basically who go to at least three finals straight on through from 76 to 85. I mean, insane. It's crazy to think that, I mean, you're talking, 4, 9, 10, talking 12 years here. 12 years where it's, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about that you had 3 teams that went to at least 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals throughout a 12-year span. I mean, that's something else. But then it didn't happen. It has not happened since then. 84, 85. The Pittsburgh Penguins almost did it. The Detroit Red Wings, they won back-to-back, but they didn't get back. They didn't get the 3 straight Stanley Cup Final. The Penguins, I remember, that 92-93 Penguin team, I mean, they steamrolled. They were steamrolling everybody. It was looking like it was a shoo-in that they were going to end up going to a 3rd straight Stanley Cup Final. It didn't happen. So we didn't have another team go to 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals until 2019, 2020. We get to the Tampa Bay Lightning. 2019, 2020. This, of course, is the world going collectively stupid. We have the pause and everything. No fans. We're playing in a bubble here in front of nobody. Tampa Bay, they do what they go out there and they do what they do. Tampa Bay wins the Stanley Cup in 2019-20. They go back to the final 2020-2021. This is the year of the weird divisions where the Canadian division has their own division because you couldn't cross the border because we were still in a collective stupor in 2021. So Montreal ends up in the final against Tampa. They're in the same division, but not that particular year. And Tampa wins the cup there. Then they go back to the final again for a 3rd year in a row in 2021-2022, where they lose to the Colorado Avalanche. So 2020, 2021, 2022, the Tampa Bay Lightning are in the final. Good for them. Then, and now, now we get into the age of the Florida Panthers. And this is another reason why I'm like, should we name the conference the Florida Conference? Because, yeah, the state of Florida has dominated the East for the last now 6 years. The Florida Panthers, they barely get in the playoffs in 2022-23. And I mean barely get in the playoffs. But that's all it took. Just get in. That's all, just get in. You never know what can happen. They go all the way to the final. They lose to Vegas. They get to the final. They lose to the Vegas Golden Knights. Then 2023-24, they get back to the final. They win the Stanley Cup over the Edmonton Oilers in what was almost one of the most epic collapses of hockey history. The Panthers were up 3-0 in that series, and they almost lost it. Almost. But they didn't. They won it in Game 7. They won the Stanley Cup. And now here they are again. They are back again in the Stanley Cup Final in 2024-25. Now they're just waiting for an opponent. They're waiting for either the Dallas Stars or the Edmonton Oilers. At the time of this particular recording, the Edmonton Oilers are up 3-1 against the Dallas Stars. Like I said, I selfishly want to see a rematch between the Panthers and the Oilers because, I mean, that series turned out to be an absolute incredible series. And yeah, I want to see it again. I really do. I want to see it again because, I mean, can Edmonton do what they couldn't do last year? Or do we see the Florida Panthers go back-to-back? I don't know. But I thought it was very interesting to look at all these. I mean, when you have, from 76 to 79, it was all Montreal. From 80 to 84, it was all the New York Islanders. And then, of course, from 83 to 85, in the midst of the Islanders, you had the Oilers, and then you don't see it again until 2020 through 2022, and then 2023 through now 2025. Something that has not happened very often. This is just all within my lifetime. I mean, this started before I was born. So this is something only 5 teams have ever done in the time I've been alive. I'm 47 years old. So, this is something, it's rare. It doesn't happen all the time. But, we're in the midst of it. We're in the midst of it again here. So, what happens? Do the Florida Panthers win another Stanley Cup? Or, do the Dallas Stars find a way to come back from 3-1 down? I don't see it happening, considering the Stars basically have won one period the entire series, and because honestly, the Oilers were leading in that third period in game 1. The Oilers very easily probably should have swept this series with Dallas. Edmonton's looking just amazing right now. But we'll find that out. That game will be tomorrow. And we'll see if the Florida Panthers have an opponent for tomorrow. But yeah, so I thought I would look at this and talk a little bit about the Eastern Conference, which basically, for at least right now, I'm basically calling the Florida Conference, because there has not been a team outside the state of Florida to represent the Eastern Conference in the Stanley Cup Final since the Boston Bruins did it in 2019. That's crazy to think about. That is crazy to think about, that the Stanley Cup Final out of the Eastern Conference has been dominated by 2 teams from the exact same state. But here we are. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Do we see a rematch? Do we see Panthers Oilers 2? Or do the Dallas Stars find a way to make a comeback and maybe find a way to steal 3 games here against the Oilers? I personally don't see it happening, but who knows? Crazier things have happened in the Stanley Cup playoffs, have they not? So, again, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Hit that like button, smash that like button. Only takes a second, helps the channel out. Definitely lets the algorithm know that people are interested. And also, if you would kindly, please hit that subscribe button. That way I know I can see you back here again. And all that good stuff. Also, share the video with everyone that you know. Share it with friends, family. If you know some people out there who love hockey, who have never heard of the channel, let them know about the channel. I would love to have every hockey fan in the world. I would love to have you all join me here at Larry's House of Hockey. And also, hit that little notification bell that will notify you anytime future videos of mine are uploaded. And yeah, so what do you guys think? Let me know again. Do we get a rematch of last year? Do we get Panthers Oilers 2? And if we do, is it the same result, or is it a little different result? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I will see you guys later. And again, congratulations to the Florida Panthers on their 3rd consecutive trip to the Stanley Cup Final.